Hey everybody, my name is Erwin. This is the Stock Hacker Show. Here I have Joel.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm good. Could be better. My Roblox position isn't doing so well.
Yeah, me neither.
So let's just introduce the topic of Roblox. At least why we thought it'd be a good show topic, because Nancy Pelosi, one of the world's greatest stock investors, she has to disclose what her investments are. So and back in the fall of 2021, she disclosed she bought some, I think it was Salesforce and Roblox
And Google and stuff, yeah.
and Google, and for anyone who's been following her journey, she's been getting a lot of attention because she's been so successful as a stock investor. And then there's the whole thing about the Metaverse. Like Joel and I having strong interest in real estate. We're always looking for what's on the horizon. Facebook even renamed their company Meta for a reason. So we wanted to dig into a little more about Metaverse. And then, as always, I'm looking for implications how I may make money off of what's going on in the future.
Yeah, how do you get in front of trends?
How do you get in front of trends? And one of them is Roblox. And actually, another thing about Roblox I haven't told you before is one of my friends who's a pretty successful financial planner. There's the whole analogy. I think it was Derek Foster. He wrote about it in his books about the whole gold mining analogy. During the gold rush in America, I'm not sure what years it was, but when the gold rush happened, who made the most money? The people selling the picks and the axes. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't actually the people that were involved with the gold. It was the people that sold the tools. So that kind of So I'm always looking for those opportunities. How can I invest in these picks and axes? And Roblox has come up as an opportunity for folks who want to invest in the metaverse. Not necessarily, but instead of investing in the picks and the axes.
Yeah, get in front of the tools and platforms that are being used that kids are already using.
And that's how easy it is. The kids are using it already.
So the interesting thing is, Facebook, when did they change it? Was it 2021 or 2022?
Just last year.
Yeah.
2021.
They changed their name to Meta because Zuckerberg believes that this metaverse is the future. And
I don't think he's wrong.
I don't think he's wrong either.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah. I don't think he's wrong either. I mean, and it's in his best interest having Oculus Rift. VR, in their heads, VR is like what the metaverse will be. It's the second life, the second digital life, fully embodied, rather than just on a screen. But the thing is, something like Roblox has been around since 2004, and it's already creating elements of what we expect. It already has elements of what we expect the metaverse to be, and kids are spending their parents' money on it, have been spending their parents' money on it for almost 20 years now.
Great. So Roblox already makes money.
Yep. Now, I mean, whether or not they're profitable, and we'll dig into this in a moment, whether or not they're profitable has been off and on. Right. They are a growth company, no doubt about it.
Those companies aren't expected to make money. Let's get that clear.
Yeah. But they're
expected to grow.
Exactly. People aren't investing in Roblox because they want consistent returns over the next 10 years. It's kind of like the crypto play. They believe that it's going to be a bigger thing or maybe even more of a staple in 10 or 20 years. And I mean, when your kid is constantly on the phone or on the tablet or on the computer playing this one game, especially if you have a financial mind, it piques your interest. Mm-hmm. I think that was Nancy Pelosi's thing. She saw her kids and grandkids in it.
So before we recorded, I actually downloaded the app and I started playing around with it. And I was picking a game, and I picked a mansion, mega mogul mansion game. Yeah. And I had nothing because I'm a brand new user, had no money. But if I just walk down the street, my neighbor has, I don't know how many square feet that thing would be.
Oh no!
It's probably like 40,000 square feet or something ridiculous. Like that. It was ridiculous. And I was saying to Joel and Adam, like, this is my fear of the metaverse. Yeah. Is for someone who doesn't have much, spending time in the metaverse, like, look at this house. Mm-hmm. It'll be nicer than anything I'll ever own in reality.
And here's the counterpoint that I think someone like Gary Vee or any of the like crypto enthusiasts would make, but like, because of how NFTs work now, and I don't want to dive into NFTs right now, but because
I'll be another episode.
Yeah, definitely. Because of how NFTs work and where those seem to be going and how they work, someone could potentially actually make more money with their digital property than they could with their physical property. The theory is there for it. It's mind-boggling right now, and there's not a whole lot of there's not any use case for that right now, but that seems to be the direction it's heading.
Mm-hmm. This is fascinating stuff. So what else can you tell us about Roblox?
Yeah, let's dive into Roblox a little bit. So again, they were founded in 2004. Sorry, reading off my notes here. I'll look at you. They were founded in 2004. They were just listed on the New York Stock Exchange in a year ago, March of 2021, and they've had a really rocky ride. Reddit, they're one of those Reddit stocks for a little bit too. Right now,
it's a bad thing.
Yeah, for volatility, it's bad. They're trading far below their IPO price. Their IPO price was 64. I didn't check what they were today, but what are we sitting at right now? 43. So today's also a rough day, but that's something to be expected. You dive into their financials though. They're an interesting company, and especially how they make money. So I guess we can start with how they make money. They are a company that's basically built on microtransactions. So your child logs in, creates their own character. They have some base customization, so they can create a character, and there's a few options to give them different color clothes and hair and whatever else. And then they're launched into whatever world they choose. Roblox started as a game and has become a whole platform. So where they were the game developer making this one world for their users, they are now the platform where over 9 million people are creating other games for Roblox users. So, and as of February, they had about 58 million users. We'll go back and double check that number in a moment. But how they make money is their own in-game currency, Robux. So use USD or CAD, buy 500 Robux for, I don't know, $50. I actually have no idea what the exchange rate is right now. And you spend those Robux in any of these games to participate and to get more character customization options. So you want a suit of armor that's going to cost 100 Robux. I don't know exactly what it is, but so you were walking around in this game and you had to build walls and
I was building a house.
Yeah.
I had no house. I had land, which is fantastic. They gave me land. But then as I got a free door, I think.
Yeah.
But then I had to have money to build walls.
Yes.
Which I didn't have.
So these freemium, they're called, the model is called freemium. You can play all you want for free, but if you really want to dive into the fun parts of the game, you're going to have to pay. And so,
if you want to accelerate your progress,
exactly, accelerate your progress.
Have clothes,
yeah,
have funky hair, have walls. Apparently,
second, third, fourth floors, parking spots. Parking spot was like
25,000.
So there's no rhyme or reason sometimes behind some of these economics, but the economics are there, and people are spending money on it. And that's their primary way of making money. Now, they also do advertising. They're very selective. Roblox is very selective about who they do the advertising campaigns with. So Disney is a big one. They just did something with the NFL before the Super Bowl, where they had, and the NFL has basically their own space, their own game, and in that there were mini games and stuff that kids could play with their characters.
I just want to add to that. It's not just kids are playing. Kids are actually building these. I don't know. You call it a game earlier, but it's an environment as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a game. Mm-hmm. Like I entered the game, someone else created that, potentially like a teenager. Yeah.
So I said 9.9 million developers. Who knows how many of those are actually teams of adults? Like probably very few.
Right. And part of my interest in researching more about Roblox was because a past guest of our show, Dmitry Buterin, who is follower to Vitalik. For those who don't know, Vitalik is not even 30. Is he even 30 years old?
No, I don't think so.
He's one of the co-founders of Ethereum. He's worth around $1.4 billion from Toronto, Ontario. Really crazy. My point is Dimitri has shared how his kids play both Minecraft and Roblox. Well, if you raised a billionaire, I'd like to know more about how. And I'm not for my kids playing video games, but my kids will be allowed to play Minecraft and Roblox.
especially these games are creative games, and they have their own economies, particularly Roblox. So you can potentially make money on these, building your own stuff.
It'd be nice if my kid could make us $1 billion.
Yeah, no kidding. Vitalik's 28.
Not even 30 years old. He's worth over $1 billion.
Yeah.
So again, his Vitalik's siblings are playing Minecraft and Roblox. Yeah. It's something I'm gonna let my kids do in controlled amounts.
Yeah. So Robux, digital currency that they make. It's not a cryptocurrency. It's just an in-game currency. Advertising in their digital worlds, very specific, very selective. Companies are actually starting to merchandise toys for some of these games. So Hasbro and other companies are actually buying the rights for action figures and stuff like that. And so Roblox gets a cut of those merchandising fees, and it collects royalties from the game developers. So here's a really interesting point. And this is how they encourage so many developers. Whatever users spend in one of the games, in the mini games, a portion, and I don't know exactly what the portion is. They actually don't share that. Sorry, it's the merchandising, the licensing revenue they don't share. I'd have to look up what their split is with developers, but they actually split revenue with developers. So if you build a game, people start spending money in it, you get a chunk of that cash. Now, obviously, Roblox also gets a chunk of that cash. You're splitting it, and so that's a lot of where there's the direct purchases. So when you go and buy Robux, they're getting that money. That's theirs. You're doing that with their platform.
And they can exchange Robux for real dollars.
Yeah, so you spend that in a game. Well, the I guess Roblox is paying out the developer a little bit for what was spent.
Maybe my neighbor in Roblox was the game developer. Because again, 40,000 square feet. It probably cost them a lot of Robux to pay for that.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how and there's nothing to say that these games can't, and this is getting wild, that these games can't set their own currencies in game too. So you want to talk about meta, we have currencies within currencies within currencies. It can get complicated, but.
And again, as a parent, I'm always looking for productive things for my kids to be doing and learning. Mm-hmm. This sounds like something decent. Something they can actually earn a possible side hustle.
The building, and they're creative. There's a chance to make money. And especially if the metaverse is the next evolution of the internet, of popular culture, then getting in front of it now, it'd be like kids getting on YouTube in 2010, 2011.
Crazy.
Could be. Not saying it is. Could be.
And you mentioned earlier, you gotta have like a 10, 20 year view on this. So yeah, don't dare touch this thing unless you have a 10, 20 year term.
Yeah, like I personally bought a little bit, like a handful of shares, my TFSA, just because if it moons, if it skyrockets at some point, I'd love to have that as tax-free money. But I am not spending a whole lot of my money, like I'm not putting a whole lot into that, right? Mm-hmm. It's just there just in case, put a little smile on my face if it ever does. And if it doesn't, I've lost that money, I'm okay with it.
Right.
I've already written that off. So
yeah, and full disclosure, I have a position on Roblox as well. Yeah. As soon as I found out Nancy Pelosi had a position, I grabbed some too. Obviously, I'm underwater, but you know, I can always add to it. I can always add to it later. And yeah, my term 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a small amount, so it's not like it's going to change my life.
Do we want to look at financials?
Right, we have time. Yeah, sure.
We'll make it quick.
Because maybe Roblox becomes an acquisition target for somebody.
You know,
like
and
a
that's
Facebook, like a Microsoft.
What is its market cap right now? Let's take a look at that. So on my screen right now, I have the financial information for Roblox Corporation. I have the overview. Its market capitalization is $25.5 billion. And I mean, you think about it, that's down significantly because their share price is down too, right? So as the share price recovers, that's going to come up too. The initial investment, I say that because that means the initial investment in Roblox from an investor standpoint is actually a lot higher than $25 billion. Most people bought in at higher prices. So their earnings per share is negative because they aren't profitable right now. Mm-hmm. Not always. basic earnings per share for the last 12 months is negative 85 cents.
Wow. Just to give some context, actually, it was a really long time ago. Facebook bought Oculus for $2 billion back in 2014.
Wow.
A really big price difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an interesting point too. Like, so Facebook's play into the metaverse is Oculus, whereas the CEO of Roblox has gone on record saying, yeah, it's going to be sweet when it does that, but we're still decades out from that, if not like if minimum a decade out from that. But it's happening now with things like Roblox. People are participating in it now.
And then again, to give more context, Microsoft did buy Activision for $68.7 billion.
Wow.
Just last year.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, earlier this year.
So games are a big deal, and it's how people are being introduced into new economies, really. Total revenue for Roblox in 2021 was $1.92 billion. Net income for Roblox in 2021 was negative, so they lost $491 million. Their total debt, and this is always something that I'm looking at, so I'm going to switch screens here to balance sheet. I'm always interested. Okay, I'm going to back up a bit. Their assets, they have total assets of $4.5 billion, worth $4.5 billion. Total liabilities worth 3.9. So I'm always interested in how, like, what are considered assets for these companies, because it's all an internet service.
Wow.
So it's probably like servers and real estate, maybe. I don't know, but
they have over $3 billion in cash.
$3 billion in cash
at the end of last year.
Yeah, cash and cash equivalents, or cash and short-term investments. Sorry, $3 billion at the end of last year,
which is nearly triple what it had the year before.
Yeah. Now, short-term debt, though, I remember looking at that. Short-term debt also. Oh no, short-term debt's like nothing. What was it? Long-term, maybe. Yeah, long-term debt also skyrocketed. So 2020, their long-term debt was $344 million. As of the end of last year, it was $1.1 billion. So they're still sitting on more cash than they have debt. So it's not profitable, but they look, and I'm not an expert here, but they look healthy from these numbers. Shareholder equity, not shareholder, but total equity for 2021 was $592 million. Total long-term and short-term debt combined is only $1.2 billion. So, like, that debt to equity ratio is always an interesting piece for me. Is like, how leveraged are they? So they're about 2 times leveraged, just over, which for a growth company isn't terrible. Another ratio that I like to look at is their price to book ratio. So they don't have this in the financial chart that I was looking at, but they do. The price to book ratio is how much are you paying versus the book value of the company. And that's 51. That ratio is 51.01. So again, it's like, well, what do you do with that? And you compare it to what it's done historically, and you compare it to other companies. So historically, that ratio has been 103. So it's half of what it was. So, like, you want to see stuff moving in that direction. You want, obviously, more book value than price, right? So you want that ratio to be lower.
And you already covered price to sales?
Price to sales, 15.5. Again, it's how much are you paying for every dollar in sales that they make. So $15.5 for every dollar that they make. And that's actually, that price to sales ratio is also half of what it was for 2021. So this is a current ratio. What we were looking at, I was looking at some price to sales ratios for like Tesla and stuff like that. And they're usually like other growth companies. I don't want to quote Tesla specifically because I haven't looked at that in a little while. But other growth companies, they're usually like 20s to 30s and sometimes higher depending on how it's been lately for them. So this price to sales ratio isn't too bad, actually, comparing to other tech and growth companies.
Yeah, it's dropped significantly since they IPO'd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just did the math on my phone. It's down 37% from IPO price.
So,
we could be laughing in 5, 10 years, 20 years, or we could have lost all the money.
yeah, and you look at this, it's like, okay, well, is that because their sales grew or their price dropped? Well, right now it's because their price dropped. Does that make sense? Make sure I'm doing that that head math right.
It says a lot of things to me. It says like maybe the IPO price was high.
Yeah, could have been.
Could have been.
And they got caught up in the Reddit mania, right? So like, there's no, a lot of the historical price action for this is just can't rely on it because it was hyperbolic, I believe the term.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but at a minimum, today you can get the stock for 37% discount from what people got it for at IPO.
Yeah. So. This is all to say, like, whether or not this is good is completely up to you. Dive in and do your own due diligence and take a look at these numbers for yourself and compare it to the companies that you might feel more comfortable with and see. So this is just to like give you a sense for here's how they make money. Here's what their financials look like right now. Do you believe that it's worth the investment based on what the trends are? So that's a decision you have to make for yourself.
Yeah, and Warren Buffett would not touch this.
Oh heck no, no. No, we're not to dive into anything else, but he just bought HP. That's going to be a future video.
That'll be a future video.
Yeah.
You can give her opposite Roblox versus HP. I know they're both in the tech space, but they have very different track histories.
Very different.
All right. Anything else we need to cover, Joel?
No, I think that's about it. So, again, the point is, if you want to get in front of trends, Metaverse is so far a very hot trend. And if you don't understand it, Roblox could be a way to gain some exposure indirectly because they're already making money. They already have a platform. They're already recognized as a leader in this space.
Widely adopted. Lots of customers.
Yep. So
if your kids are playing it, maybe just look over their shoulder and see what they're doing.
The only stat I'll give you, the only other stat I'll give you, looking at an investor news release from Roblox's website. This is March 15th. Daily active users were 55.1 million, which is up 28% year over year. That's a good direction.
Fascinating.
The only counterpoint to that is estimated bookings for February 2022, and bookings in this case is how much they sold in their Robux currency. Was down 2% to 4% year over year. More users, a little bit less money being spent. So but active users is a good thing overall.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this is part of the trend as the world reopens from the pandemic.
Could be. I mean, 28% more active users versus 2 to 4% less revenue in that specific stream alone. That's still a net gain in my mind, but
we'll see. Time will tell.
Time will tell. Mm-hmm. That's all for me.
All right. Thanks, Joel. Thanks for one.
Thanks.
If you have any other suggestions for the topics you want to see us discuss, just put it down below in the comments.
Yep.